Diana Artemis of the Ephesians. The Latin name Diana was adapted by the Old Latin and the Vulgate as the equivalent of the Greek Artemis, Acts 19:24-40. The Artemis of Ephesus had or was given certain Greek traits, characteristic of Artemis on the mainland of Greece, but she was essentially a Greek adaptation of the great mother goddess of Asia Minor. The chief priest in her worship was a eunuch, but she was served also by maiden priestesses. Her main festival, the Artemisian, was celebrated with great pomp in the month of Artemisios, March 24th to April 24th. The Latin word properly denoting a Roman divinity is the representative of the Greek Artemis, the tutelary goddess of the Ephesians, who plays an important part in the narrative of Acts 19. The Ephesian Diana was, however, regarded as invested with very different attributes and is rather to be identified with Astarte and other female divinities of the East. The head wore a mural crown, each hand held a bar of metal, and the lower part ended in a rude block covered with figures of animals and mystic inscriptions. This idol was regarded as an object of peculiar sanctity and was believed to have fallen down from heaven. Many historians have identified the bulbous object as breasts. Thus, the statue of many-breasted Artemis Ephesia was presumed to symbolize not only fertility, but the ability of this goddess to breastfeed all animals and living things. The goddess Artemis Ephesia was also said to have been born under a date palm tree. The date palm, Phoenix dactylifera, is a flowering plant cultivated for its edible sweet fruit. An entirely different theory maintained that the nodes represented bull testes, as these were sacrificed to her. RuPaul's Drag Race. Look at the colors. One contestant is called Bimini Bon Boulash, purple, cerulean blue, and magenta. Purple, cerulean blue, and magenta, or add up to 7, 7, 11, 11. The numerology of these connect to Tanit, the Phoenician name for Ishtar. Bimini is 11, 11, 7, 7. That's Bimini without makeup, magenta, and purple. This was Bimini's runway costume. All these balloons reference Diana with too many tetas. Having paint problems of her own was Bimini, who came out swinging with a hell of a concept based on Alexander McQueen's infamous live painting runway, and she was going to burst all of the balloons to cover her corset in splatters of paint. To the right is the Diana fountain in Italy, so Bimini was going to pop those balloons that had paint, and paint was going to spray out, and now we've got water spraying out to these breasts. Plus, you can look at the top of Diana's head, and it seems Bimini has that as well. That's what they're portraying. It's just updated. Rituals to Ishtar. That's why Bimini is in front of the Stargate portal. Here's Bimini with clown makeup. The things in the hair looks like the crescent moon of Diana and the horns of Isis. The Ephesian Artemis is Diana, also called Isis and Ishtar. We can put it all together. Bimini's wig looks like a planter's peanut because it's shaped like an 8, the star of Ishtar. I is for I'm vegan. Well, not anymore you're not, because what's in the jab is not vegan, nor is it vegetarian. Genitalicova is another open MTF. There's something to do with these MTFs and being vegan. This is Bimini for Peter, heavily photoshopped. You can see everything. They've photoshopped the spine and the bum and the feet. And what she's doing is a recreation of Pamela Anderson's ad for Peter. So if an open MTF is doing it, what does that tell you about Pamela? Fix up. Androgynous and hermaphroditic men were heavily involved in the cult of Inanna Ishtar. During Sumerian times, a set of priests known as Gala worked in Inanna's temples. Gala took female names, spoke in the Sal dialect, which was traditionally reserved for women, and appeared to have engaged in homosexual intercourse. In one Akkadian hymn, Ishtar is described as transforming men into women. Now we go to the BT Wi-Fi, purple and magenta, which does connect to the census. The census was early in the year. Purple, cerulean blue, and magenta on both. I'm looking at the symbols on the bottom of the census page. This is what the orbits of Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter look like when they're put on top of each other. It does look like a frequency in fractals. These diagrams show the paths traced by Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn as seen from Earth. This one on the bottom of the page looks like Saturn. This one looks like Jupiter. Of course it does, just draw around the circles. You can see it, can't you? The one here is in 3 sections. That looks like radiation to me. And the ones on the outside that just have the lines, those look like CERN Stargate portals. Do you remember Loki? Do you see those lines around the portal? The census was the 21st of March. That was in the fire sign of Aries the ram. Aries is the god of war. It also happened during Artemisia. Artemisia are a group of plants including wormwood, which is an ingredient in absinthe. Absinthe is also called le fiver, the green fairy. What colors do you see here? Exactly like BT internet colors. And connecting to this. Asclepius, god of medicine. All traditional cultures have some personification of the divine healer or miracle-working physician. The ancient Greeks had Asclepius, the god of medicine. Actually, Asclepius was a demigod born of a divine father Apollo and a mortal mother Coronis. While pregnant with Asclepius, Coronis fell in love with a mortal man and married him. This so angered Apollo that he struck both Coronis and her husband dead. As Coronis' body lay burning on the funeral pyre, Apollo performed the first cesarean section, freeing the baby Asclepius from his mother's womb and certain death. So we're going through an alleged health crisis. The god of medicine and health is Asclepius and his mother's name is Coronis. Come on. The symbol for health was the Asclepius, now it's the caduceus, so it's not a health crisis. Really, it's a DNA issue because they want people with a certain DNA. Back to the BT Wi-Fi with the colors, it's stargates. Study the picture. It's the same image. It's stargates. Are you going to tell me is it birth control? It could be, since Ishtar makes people infertile. Using colors to open portals. As I've said before, the frequency of this Wi-Fi is causing infertility for several reasons. Freyja 2.8, birth control pills recalled. 2.8 is 88. Venus is very similar to Earth in size and mass, so it's sometimes referred to as Earth's sister planet. The ancient Mexicans, being expert astronomers, could predict precisely on which days and at which times the star would appear and disappear. Not only were they well aware of its 584-day cycle around the sun, they even knew its exact cycle was 583 days, 22 hours, 6 minutes, and 40 seconds, and they allowed for the difference to be made up in their calculations every 8 years. In Norse mythology, Freyja is a goddess associated with love, beauty, fertility, sex, and war, which means she's another incarnation of Ishtar. And here we have Esme 2.8, birth control pills recalled from the market. Esme, see emerald. Okay. Emerald, French, the bright green jewel, because Venus rules the color green. Esme Frost is a recurring character during the first season of Fox's The Gifted. She, along with her identical sisters, are telepathic mutants who share a hive mind-like connection. The colors on this birth control are blue and green. Codes Lequi, also blue and green, is the Aztec or Mayan incarnation of Inanna Ishtar. Freyja health, look at the colors. The symbol has wings on the head because Freyja has wings on the head, which means she's a Nephilim. The symbol is a winged head in front of a circle that connects to the winged disc. As I've said before, the spirals connect to portals, and Freyja is an incarnation of Inanna Ishtar, the portal goddess. BT Unbreakable connects us to the Unbreakable trilogy with the CERN. Yes, it's a wheel, and a wheel is a stargate, chakra, and the Ophanim. The broken glass looks like a CERN. Unbreakable is 11-11-7-7. Again connecting us back to Tanit, aka Ishtar, the portal goddess, the 369 frequency. Take a closer look at the cover. The EE has cerulean blue around it and is shaped like an 8. Purple in the middle. His hair looks like an Aztec headdress, and this makes the shape of a V for Venus. The poster colors turquoise, yellow, purple, black, and white. They all connect to Ishtar. The creatures coming out to the portal. What are the colors? If it's not 3, it's not 5. What's 3 plus 5? These are the same colors on the portal when Coraline went to the other world, and the people there look like the people she knew, but they were evil. And that film is about Jupiter. The future isn't what it used to be. The past isn't what it used to be either, because they've put us in another realm. When Venus orbits, it creates the pentagram, which is 5. BT is in partner with EE. E is the 5th letter of the alphabet. Delta is Greek of Semitic origin, as in Hebrew Daleth, fourth letter of the alphabet. It's the fourth letter of the Greek alphabet, and it's something in the shape of a delta, specifically a deposit of sand and soil, usually triangular, formed at the mouth of some rivers as the Nile, which is in Egypt. Delta ray, any particles ejected by primarily ionizing particles passing through matter. It's also the triangular structure of certain jet aircraft. Now we go to the Phoenician alphabet, look at the top. Zain, Vav, Hey, which looks like a backwards E. Hey means window. Hey, ancient pictograph, paleo and modern. The letter is Hey. The gematria is 5. It means window. The astrology is Aries, the color is red, and it's fire. From the word Hey, meaning lo or behold, as in it's revealing something, symbolized by a window, which is open to reveal what's inside the house with sunlight. In post-biblical times, Hey came to stand for the number 5. One theory is that evolved from the Egyptian hieroglyphic and subsequent hieratic symbol for hole or habitation. It would make sense that Hey would appear in words having to do with buildings like temple. The symbols at the bottom, the hieroglyphic H, it also looks like a spiral. Ancient Hebrew letters are signs from heaven. The story of the ancient pictures that proclaim biblical truth in the Hebrew letters and words used by Abraham and Moses, and how these ancient pictures became the written characters used to write most of the world's languages today. The final letter of the word Betula is Hey. The ancient Hebrew Hey looks like a stick man standing with his arms upraised towards heaven, which looks very similar to the Masonic sign of distress. And also Tanit, the portal goddess. She is doing the sign or the posture of Tanit. Paleo Hebrew man with his arms up in the air. Tanit with her arms up in the air. On the left we have the symbol of Tanit with these two pillars beside her, and the alchemical symbol for Mercury on the right is a little man with horns and also a man with his arms raised up in the air. Now, I've said before, Mercury is used in making mirrors, and mirrors are portals. A port is a door, a doorway. Now we go to Delta. Looks like a triangle. I would say this is Delta as well, wouldn't you? Which does connect to the Mars-Jupiter-Venus connection, Cernunnos, the sun god, and Inanna Ishtar, the goddess of war. And these three connects to the symbol for radiation. The One World Trade Center is the world's largest obelisk built upon an unnerving ground. Not only is the One World Trade Center an obelisk representing the phallus of Osiris for domination, but matches with a pyramid prophesied on the back of the $1 bill. From standing below the Trade Center appears as a giant pyramid with the eye at the top. This connects to the Watchers. Why all the sacrifice? Well, it connects to Stargate, the 3 planets or moons, the triangle with the star of Inanna Ishtar, who I've said before is Tanit. She's got a dolphin underneath of her. In the film Stargate, he had to find the point of origin, which was Tanit, aka Ishtar, and that opened up the Stargate. Watch the film again. Inanna in Gematria is 8811, connecting to radiation 1188, plasma 8811, portals, DNA, African blood, interdimensional. Again, to Hey, Gematria 5, it is a fire sign. And here we have the 4 elements. What does the fire symbol look like? This is the smallest symbol for Delta, and Delta looks like the symbol for fire. Now before Delta was Beta, Hebrew Bet, literally house of Phoenician origin. It's the second letter of the alphabet. Beta decay, radioactive disintegration of a nucleus with the accompanying emission of a beta particle. The residual nucleus has 1 more unit of positive charge after electron emission and 1 less after positron emission. Beta emitter, a radioactive element, either natural or artificial, which transforms into another element by emitting a beta particle. Now they're gassing on about the Delta variant. By the end of July, Delta was the cause of more than 80. 8 is Ishtar's number. The sign Leo the Lion starts the 23rd of July. That's the end of July. The symbol is the lion. It's in the 5th house. The element is fire. Inanna Ishtar's symbols are lions. Leo the Lion, purple, cerulean blue, and magenta. Notice the symbol for Leo looks similar to the symbol for Delta. Don't look at it how you look at it. You have to see it how they see it. Fire means creation, destruction, and transformation. Dalet, gematria. 4, meaning door. Astrology, Venus, color green. Venus rules the color green. Venus also rules copper. Daleth, the Egyptian hieroglyph for the Phoenician Daleth, is fish. In the Semitic alphabet, it was portrayed as a fish with a triangular tail. Phoenician Dalet means tent door for the resemblance of a tent to the shape of a triangle. The Hebrew Dalet also conveyed the idea of a door or tent door. Dalet was known to the Greeks as delta. It too was meant to represent a door or gateway, in particular a door or gateway to a river. On the right is the stele of Tanit down there, looking like a triangle, holding a stargate. Above her is a fish. The double helix DNA emblem of Ningishzida. Entwined serpent symbol given to Enki's son Ningishzida, and he has fish around him. Spiritual gateways in Washington, D.C. It's well known that America's founding fathers, as well as those who later implemented their plans and benefits, used artwork and architectural symbolism to spiritually link our nation's capital to civilizations of antiquity. Therefore, it's not surprising to find numerous triangles located throughout the city of Washington. An example of this is the Federal Triangle, which is located between the White House and the Capitol. These triangles identify the numerous spiritual doors or gateways throughout our nation's capital through which the demonic and principalities operate. Earlier maps of DC also clearly portray the Capitol, White House, Lincoln, etc., all strategically enclosed within the outline of a huge fish, as shown in the annotated aerial photographs. Just as our nation's capital is represented by the image of a fish inside the enclosure of a city, biblical Nineveh was also represented by the picture of a fish inside the enclosure of a city. According to the popular and critical Bible Encyclopedia, the name of Nineveh was written as Ninua and Ninna in the cuneiform inscriptions. A popular etymology connected it with the Assyrian Nunu, fish, at a very early date, since the name is ideographically represented by the picture of a fish inside the enclosure of a city. The world's foremost demonic spiritual gateway, the gates of hell. America's foremost political demonic spiritual gateway is also spiritually connected to the world's foremost demonic spiritual gateway, located in Israel at ancient Caesarea Philippi, the gates of hell. It was originally called Panias in honor of the Greek god Pan, who was a goat deity. As shown in the above map, the capital of the United States is positioned inside the topography of a goat's head. The goat's head is located inside the tail of a fish, which means that's Capricorn. This particular triangle is one of the several triangles incorporated within the layout of a fish. Pan, the god of fear. In addition to his other attributes, Pan is also known as the god of fear and was known to instill sudden fear, especially in lonely places or on the battlefield. That is where we get our modern day word panic and pandemic. The current manifestations of this fear, especially that fueled by our government, are discussed in more detail in later sections. The satyrs shall dance there. It seems that Pan is one of the other satyrs, goat deity spoken of in Isaiah 13:21. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and the houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. In Hebrew, this fourth letter has the numerical value of 4. Dalet also represents a doorway. In other words, when the letter is placed in a word, you have to keep in mind that not only is it the letter D, it is the number 4 and symbolizes a door. In Hebrew, Dalet is the central letter between the Aleph and the Mem. This has incredible importance symbolically and spiritually. Dalet has the numerical value of 4. When you add the values of the letters of the name Adam, the result is 9, which is also very significant. These levels of meaning are important to understand because when we start studying the Bible or any scripture, the names, the symbols, the places, the words have a numerical significance. They have a symbolic significance. The word Eden has Dalet in the middle of it. That Dalet is the doorway to Eden. Guarding that door is an Elohim, a great angelic intelligence who guards the entryway back to Eden. Eden has 2 levels or aspects. Da'at, the upper Eden, also called Shamayim. Knowledge is Da'at. The English good and evil are translated from the Hebrew Tob and Ra. Good is Tob. Evil is Ra, but Ra is not just evil like a guy in a red suit with a pitchfork or some man in black in a movie. Ra really means impurity, pollution, but it implies a force, an intelligent. You can translate Ra as impure spirit. We talk about how the letters relate to certain sephirot on the Tree of Life. For example, we have mentioned that Aleph, the first letter, is related with Kether, the crown. Aleph is related with all the spheres. Dalet also has a relationship with different sephirot on the Tree of Life, but it's also related with all of them. Dalet is a doorway. We ourselves are a door. And what I told you before, some people's DNA helps them open portals. That is what they're looking for. The people whose specific DNA will allow them to open other dimensions. Furthermore, the energies that flow in and out of us is a dalet. We are not one, we are many. Because of that, our doorway is always in flux, the doorway of our mind. Furthermore, the energies that flow in and out of us as a dalet flow through multiple doors. You see, our body is a dalet. It is a doorway for energy. Our mind is a dalet because it is a doorway for energy. Each of our eyes is a dalet. Each of our nostrils, our mouth, hands, feet are dalets. Our mouth is a doorway. In Hebrew, to speak is dabar, which begins with dalet, because to speak, the air has to merge from our throat, which is where the sephirot, da'ath, is hidden. That's why people who join secret societies have entities around them. The oaths they speak are curses that you put on yourself. How many times I've said this internet technology is portals and doorways, and entities are attracted to it. And what does Microsoft call it? Windows, which is a doorway. It's a portal. Go back and watch the video about portals. Sulfur represents fire. There are many kinds of sulfur. If you studied alchemy in the Western tradition, in alchemy, the symbol of sulfur is a triangle from which hangs a cross. When we look at the Tree of Life, we can see why. The upper triangle, which is the creative power of the Law of Three, expresses itself through the cross. We see how this power of the Trinity manifests through Da'at as a cross. This is incredible knowledge that has been hidden right before our eyes for thousands of years. The pairing of sulfur and mercury strongly corresponds to the male-female dichotomy already present in Western thought. Sulfur is the active male principle possessing the ability to create change. It bears the qualities of hot and dry, the same as the element of fire. It's associated with the sun. A symbol for the alchemical element sulfur, which is spiritually analogous to the human soul. Alchemically, sulfur has the qualities of masculine, hot, and dry. A more common symbol for sulfur is a fire triangle surmounting on a cross. The symbol for sulfur is also the symbol for Pallas Athena. Athena is the goddess of war. In Greek mythology, Athena is the daughter of Zeus, aka Jupiter. She sprang out of his head. Phoenician Dalet, Greek Delta. The letter Dalet, along with He and very rarely Jamel, is used to represent the name of God in Judaism. A reason for this is that He is used as an abbreviation for Hashem, the name, and the Dalet is used as a non-sacred way of referring to God. The Hebrew for David is Dalet, the number 4, Vav, 6, Dalet. Thus, the number 14 is the sum of letters of David's Hebrew name. So it's the tribe of David and the bloodline of David. However, 4 is well known to be an unlucky number because it sounds similar to Xi, which means death in Chinese. Mentioning the number 4 to an ill family member is considered to be highly offensive, and giving anything with a 4 on it to someone can be seen as a death threat. Mayan death masks. This mask symbolizes Keme, a very special grandfather that taught the mystery of death and the dimensional doors that it opens. How many times I've said you have to sacrifice a soul to open up the portal. In Hindu mythology, Brahma is the creator and he has 4 heads, but sometimes you need to destroy something in order to create it. And I have said already that the number 4 also looks like the symbol for Jupiter, aka Zeus or Thor. And on here they have identified 4 phases. The Greek delta is also commonly associated with Daedalus. Well, I looked into that. The Daedalus class, also known as the BC-304, is a warship. Daedalus class battle cruiser is a class of deep space carrier built by the Federation and Stargate Command. That's what they are doing. They're opening up doors with people's DNA. Now the triangle also looks like the rune Thorn. Reactive force, directed force of destruction and defense, conflict. The rune leads a tendency towards change, catharsis, purging, and cleansing fire, and symbolizes male sexuality. Thor, the thunder god, was of giant stock. Thor's reversed or merc stave means danger, defensiveness, compulsion, betrayal, dullness, evil, malice, hatred, torment, spite, and lies. It may symbolize a bad man or woman or the act of rape. Well, I think these jabs might encompass that. Thorn or Thorisaurs is useful for attack and sometimes for tests. It makes people careless at the wrong moment. It makes people sicken. It drives people insane. It's particularly suitable for increasing the fear of people already afraid. Sounds like what they're doing now, doesn't it? It symbolizes Mjolnir, the hammer of Thor, aka Zeus or Jupiter. The trees are the blackthorn oak, hawthorn, bramble, houseleek. It's male, it's fire, and it's African Southwest. We're not here on this planet to do whatever we want or whatever we please, even though this is the philosophy that our media loves to promote. Our culture loves to tell us that life is just about enjoying all the pleasures we can, as much as we can, until we die. This is a very convenient life for those who are benefiting from us behaving in that way, but we do not benefit from this behavior, neither does God, and neither does humanity. We have created starvation, poverty, rape, war, nuclear weapons, chemical weapons. We're the ones who created all kinds of cunning ways to cheat one another. We have made all of that because of desire. To change this planet, we have to change ourselves. In mathematics, when you see the Greek letter delta, which relates to dalet, it means change. It is a symbol in math that indicates change. It is a door through which things change. So I'm not condoning what they're doing. I'm not promoting what they're doing. I'm showing you that this is what's happening now, and these are the things that they are utilizing. I would not label myself as a truther. I am an interpreter. Get your notebook, and your homework is in the description.